Hello, so this is just going to be a little short video on the Morion helmet, or more famously known as the Conquistador helmet. So this isn't a proper historical relic, it's just a modern sort of replica one, but a decently made replica. So basically when you look at helmets like this, if you're buying replica ones, reproduction ones, you can get kind of like the fancy dress ones that are awful, like ones made of plastic or whatever. Then you can get the ones that are made of metal but aren't built for anything, as in they're only built for the idea that they're going to be, worn as decoration, kind of like a film extras sort of thing. Then you get the ones that are built for like HEMA, sort of, all that sort of stuff, where they're actually built to a really good standard, but they're quite expensive and heavy. So this is one of those sort of mid-tier ones. It's built so if you're an extra wearing it in a film it would look fine, and it could probably take a little bit of abuse, but you certainly wouldn't want to risk your brains on it. It's not built really with any sort of being hit in mind. This one also doesn't have any straps or sort of a coif type thing fitted into it, but obviously you could fit one yourself, or you could just wear some sort of cowl or coif on your head and then it would fit pretty snugly. So Morion helmets are almost pretty symmetrical. What they essentially are is a bit of a sphere-shaped sort of kettle helmet, however you want to call it, with kind of a upward spike on either side and a big rim. Now, it's probably definitely not, in the medieval and sort of 15th century sort of period, the most practical helmet in the world, but they look really cool. So obviously they are famous for the Spanish Conquistadors, and I think the Portuguese also had a similar sort of helmet. The Swiss Guard also used Morion, but their one has a big sort of feathery thing on, as was pointed out to me the other day in the stream, and then I looked it up and it's actually mentioned on the Wikipedia page and I'd never seen it before. But they are really cool looking helmets, and I thought I'd get a gas mask out as well, just so, with a GP5, I know it's not got the filter on, just so you can see what it looks like with the gas mask on, just for a laugh. So let's do that now, if I get the mask on. Yeah, I suppose that looks pretty dapper, in a way. You probably can't hear me very well, but yeah. So, yeah. Obviously it's most famous for the Spanish Conquistador use from it. But yeah, in terms of protection, if we're going to talk about it in terms of, historical use, because obviously we're not talking about firearms and artillery. I suppose you could talk about muskets, but most of this stuff was never designed to stop muskets, just as World War I and World War II helmets were never just designed to stop, pistol and rifle rounds. It's just, they might stop pistol rounds and you're lucky. They were for shrapnel. And alternatively, obviously, these period ones were to stop somebody hitting you with a sword or, a club in the head, and killing you really easily. Or maybe potentially an arrow coming down on you. So, yeah, in terms of head coverage and protection, it's pretty good. Obviously, the bit where it turns up at the back, because it's sort of designed to be symmetrical, in hindsight with helmets, we wouldn't do that anymore. That's something where, with a modern helmet, you'd probably have something cover the back of your head up to the point where you can look up and down without it interfering with your neck. In terms of ear coverage and everything else, it's very similar, but sort of shaped better than the British sort of kettle helmets, if you think of like the World War I, World War II Brodies. And I think I've got one of those lying around in this room somewhere. Hopefully I can spot it easily and pick it up for the stream. There it is, not screen, but the live video. So if you look at it, it's a similar idea to this, where the idea is it's protecting you from stuff coming down on you. And obviously this is a better design for that, because it's all round just better shaped. But you could have something like this with then a spike at one end, I guess. So let's swap them around a second. So yeah, basically this is designed to do the exact same thing. This has got a liner in it, so I can get it a bit tighter. So these are designed to do the same thing, it obviously just doesn't have the silly ridge on the top, or the cool looking ridge, depending on how you look at it. But they're designed to do the exact same thing. Stuff coming down on your head is not going to hit you. It works like a hard hat and a shrapnel protecting helmet. This does the exact same thing, but it's got a bit more flair and sort of Van Boos shape to it, sort of thing. But the ultimate goal is the same thing. You've got like the ridges around the side, so stop maybe arrows coming down at an angle and hitting you in the neck. Just as this is designed to stop shrapnel coming down, hitting you in the side of the face and the neck. All around, they're designed to do exactly the same thing, really, from, 500 years apart, which I find quite interesting with a lot of human history, how much it repeats. I suppose it's because we like to kill each other. But, yeah, I think design-wise, this is a really cool-looking helmet. It's obviously got a lot of swagger, because it's Spanish, really. That's probably why they designed it like that. You could definitely make this design with a bit less metal to it. You know, like if you're going to do this contemporarily, I imagine you just make it a lot more like this. Even if you had the spike up bit at the front, you'd probably just have a rounded sort of bowl bit there. But the interesting thing is you will see a lot of World War I helmets and trench armour do bear a massive resemblance to medieval and sort of 14th, 15th century helmets, I guess because the designs are already there and they worked. But yeah, so it's a cool looking helmet. It's definitely, I think, one of the most stylish helmets in history, along with, like, you know, German Stauhelms. They definitely have one of the coolest looks to them. But in terms of amount of metal, for, you know, like if you're thinking of logistics, the amount of metal you're sacrificing to build the helmet, not going to be the best one in the world. But in terms of coolness looking, it's very nice. And the nice thing with medieval sort of reproduction helmets and sort of colonial reproduction helmets is that they're not actually that expensive if you're but especially if you're buying the ones that are designed to be slightly protective, but you know, not somebody in you know, a HEMA club hitting you in the head over and over and over and over, or reenactment hitting you in the head over and over and over. They're pretty damn practical. So this feels very well built, even if it's not got a liner, and these normally cost about £40 to £50. I bought a second-hand one on eBay just to save an extra like £10 on it. And yeah, they're not very, you know, they're not very expensive for what they are. There's loads of really cool medieval helmets. I've always wanted to get some medieval helmets and armour, but again, it takes up a lot of space, and is it the best use of my money? Probably not. But, you know, I still find this stuff really cool. But there's something about this helmet I think just has a really nice shape to it, I don't know. A bit like the Guardia Civil hats, you know, the Guardia Civil tricorns. There's something, you know, very, very cool about them, and I don't know particularly what it is, I just like the look of them. So people are asking, was it uncomfortable in the stream? No, it's not uncomfortable at all, even without a liner. This is probably the most uncomfortable helmet without a liner I've ever worn. If I had a liner, it'd be far more comfortable. But, you know, the weight is evenly distributed, it's pretty symmetrical, so, you know, the weight at the front and back of your head is pretty much similar. It's not like one of those helmets where all the weight applies to one side and it's really, like, you know, gives you an achy neck or whatever. And again, if you wanted a helmet with the same level of protection or a better level of protection, that weighed a lot less, you'd probably get something like this. But in terms of, you know, visual flair, this definitely beats that helmet by quite a lot. In some ways, I suppose the French Adrian helmets of World War I look a bit like this, with a bit of a ridge along them. But this has definitely got the cool origin of French Adrian helmets. If you want to see what the inside of this looks like, it's basically like that. So you've got the ridge in the middle, obviously going up. Other than that, it's pretty much a symmetrical helmet, as said, because it's designed to be sort of, you know, fairly even. I think this is a helmet, as far as I'm aware, that back to front it's exactly the same. You can't spin it around like that though, because of the shape of it, that does hurt. But yeah, it does seem to be one of those helmets where it's back to front it's the same, because there are some helmets like this which look pretty similar, but you'll find out if you wear them one way and then the other, that, you know, one edge of them is designed to go upwards a bit more to give you better eyesight. I think the Swiss M71 helmets are a bit like that, where you have to basically look at where the sort of ventilation and sort of mounting holes are and then put them at the back, because if you don't, you won't get as much vision. Because there's a lot of helmets where they look symmetrical, but when you put them on, there is one way you're meant to wear them, because otherwise it's going to cut into your sort of field of view. But yeah, there you go. It's a cool helmet for what it is, and I think it's very, very stylish, even I guess if the history now for this is very politically incorrect, because, you know, colonialism and genocide and everything else that the Europeans did to natives of various countries. It's a pretty swagger looking helmet.